The readings for Mass this evening are very powerful. First reading from Isaiah the prophet. Isaiah is saying what it's costing him to be a prophet of God, and how willing he is to do that. That there will be suffering, there will be pain and misunderstanding, there will be rejection. But he continues to say that he's going to remain faithful as the prophet. And it's going to cost him rejection by many. And that same reading was selected, I believe, in order to come to Mark's gospel with more understanding. For that's what's taking place in the gospel. Jesus and his disciples are at a village called Caesarea Philippi. I had a wonderful opportunity to be there about a year and a half ago. It's several miles north of Jerusalem, and there's water there, and the water feeds into the River Jordan. And it was a pagan temple. The pagan god, Roman gods were niched on the sides, the god Pan. And there was Roman gods, and the emperors were there. Caesarea Philippi, named after the emperor. Why did Jesus choose that place? Because this is where he was making his statement. And he asked his disciples. He asked, "Who do you say I am?" First of all, he was asking about the people. It was almost like he was running for office. Like, what do the people say? Could you imagine Hillary or one of the Republican candidates saying, "Who do they say I am?" Hello? But he's asking that. And the response, some say John the Baptist, some say Elijah or one of the prophets, because they were believing that Jesus was fulfilling that role, that he would be a great person and he would restore the house of Israel to its power and oust the Romans. And then he says to Peter, "Who do you say that I am?" If Jesus were asking you that question tonight, what would you say? In your prayer tonight, before you go to bed, Jesus asks you, "Who do you say that I am?" The Son of God? And then we hear Jesus rebuke Peter because Peter doesn't want to hear that. He's going to be rejected. "Oh, you got to be kidding, Christ. Come on." Jesus says, "Get behind me." And then he goes on to say three things that are essential. You've got to take up your cross. You've got to deny yourself. And then you can follow me. And then if I were standing there, I'd go, "Did I really hear that?" I'd go like this to James and John. "Did he really say that? I got to deny myself, take up my cross and follow him?" Could you imagine how many people got up and left? I might have been one of them. Deny myself, take up a cross and follow him. And that's what we're doing. That's what we are doing by being here. We deny ourselves in so many ways that we could be more Christ-like in our life. We take up our cross we also help take up the cross of others. On my desk in my office, I have a little structure that was given to me by an IHM sister from Lima, Peru. And it's called the Cross of the People, the People's Cross, La Cruz de la Gente. And it's a cross that all of the people of the village are carrying. And you can see their faces carrying the cross, and they're smiling as they're carrying the cross of Christ. And the point in that is that the cross of Christ becomes lighter if we are able to do it together, helping others carry their cross as they help me carry mine. I would venture to guess that every adult in this church has been asked to carry a cross in so many different ways, and to find support among family and friends is so important. Denying yourself, carrying your cross, and follow Jesus. They're the three elements of being a Christian. And that reading from St. James, I really prayed over it this week. If you want to take it home, read it over and what James is saying. He's saying things about faith and good works. And if you want to study a little bit more, you want to get into maybe Martin Luther and what Martin Luther had to say about that in that Protestant Reformation, where Luther was really taking on the church who had abused that. And the Council of Trent came back and said a lot of what Luther said was true, because first and foremost, before all else, comes faith. It is a gift. It is a gift from God. It is a grace from God. I do not earn it. I thought that one day. I was taught that as a child, that I have to do certain things to earn God's favor. I have to fill up my milk bottle so that God will like me. Sound familiar? Faith, according to Thomas Aquinas, and I read this and it's beautiful. Faith, he said, is the door that allows us to enter into the family of God's love. And in entering into that family of God's love, we then return the favor by the wonderful things that God graces us to do. We are not doing it to win God's favor. We're doing it out of gratitude to God for the love that God has given to us. And that's what Jesus is saying. Take up your cross and follow me. Deny yourself. Become more filled with Jesus and less of self. Quick story. Mrs. O'Reilly, you ready for this? I said Mrs. O'Reilly. It could be Mrs. Dombrowski. It could be Mrs. Serrano. But I chose an Irish name because, hey, I'm Irish. I didn't want to insult anybody. But Mrs. O'Reilly receives the news that one of her neighbors was seriously ill. She said to the person who gave her the news, "Tell her that I'll remember her in my prayers." I can't do it with an Irish brogue, I'm sorry. "And that I hope she'll soon be feeling better." And she was so good as she promised. She prayed very sincerely and fervently. She said to God, "Lord, I want to commend my neighbor to you. She's very seriously ill. She needs a lot of help, a lot of support." When she finished her prayers, she felt better. and yet something was bothering her. She sat down to think about it, and then she fell into a dreamlike state in which she heard God saying to her, "I can see, Mrs. O'Reilly, that you're very concerned about your neighbor." "Yes, Lord, I really am. And I understand that your neighbor is in great need of help," said God. "So I've been told," said Mrs. O'Reilly. "You know what you must need? Is someone to spend a little time with her," said the Lord. "You're absolutely right, Lord. I was thinking the same thing myself." Now, when you asked me to help her, this is the Lord speaking, when you asked me to help her, you weren't expecting me to come down from heaven to visit her, were you? "No, Lord, I wouldn't expect that, nor would my neighbor. In fact, I think the shock might kill her. But she does need someone to call on her." "She does, Lord. Who can I send?" After a long pause, Mrs. O'Reilly said, "Here I am, Lord. Send me." When she woke up from her dream, she knew what exactly she had to do. "Whoever wishes to come after me must deny themselves, take up their cross, and follow me." Oftentimes it's painful, but Jesus asks us to help others carry their cross. In the narthex this evening, there are many tables, and on the tables are all the activities and all the organizations that this parish has. It is so blessed, so truly blessed. A few weeks ago, several of us attended a workshop in Colorado, Denver. There were 500 people. And we were at a table, and I won't say who was speaking, but one of the presenters was talking about amazing parishes, and he said, and the fact the workshop was about amazing parishes. And I would like to share this with you because I think you should know this. The presenter said, "I would like to talk to you about an amazing parish that's here tonight." And he said, "Would St. Norbert Parish stand up from Paoli?" And I went, "Oh my God. What are we going to do? Do we have to pay the bill?" I want you to know that you are an amazing parish. And I see you smiling as I'm saying that, because that's a wonderful thing, to be singled out that way, and to know that this is in Colorado. They know about St. Norbert Parish. And we continue to grow. We're amazing, but we could be even more amazing. And that's what all those tables in the back are about in the narthex. Next week at Dalesford Abbey, there's an Abbey Fest. It's an amazing parish. We're dealing and working with the Abbey. Last year there were 2,200 people present. It was magnificent. The Eucharistic procession, the candles, the entertainment, the speakers, the opportunity for adoration, confession. When I said, I looked at that and I figured, there is the future of our church in so many ways that people will go out of their way. So I invite you to please consider coming to the Abbey next week, giving some of your time just to be present and watch what's taking place, because that is part of our amazing parish.